everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Kathy at Attic Treasures Etc. and it's Make Ahead Monday. I'm really glad you're here. So if you caught my last video for Scrap Busting Saturday, you'll know that what I did was I took some ugly scrapbook paper from this stack. I used this paper and I cut it down into 8.5 inches first, and then made strips of 1.5 to 2 inches wide. And then I took the remaining section and made smaller sections, smaller cuts to make things like squares, and I made some rectangles and also some triangles. And what I did is I took the scrapbook paper and I took the book page and I covered the back of the scrapbook paper with this book page to make some bases. Then the other thing that I did as well, because I had so many scraps, was I took my scraps and a bunch of punches that I have and dies and made some shapes that I can use for embellishments. So the idea was, first of all, to make some embellishments, bases, and just things that I can use, and then to put them all together to create things like these two belly bands. And I made a couple of embellishments that I can put in a journal. Let's see if I can go in a little bit closer for you. So this is going to be a belly band. It could also be used as a corner tuck. Just using up a bunch of scraps and some book page and ugly scrapbook paper, just to try to make some use out of it and get them off of my table and into something useful. Okay, so I thought for part 2, which is today, I would make with you some of the items. And what I did first is I took some of these strips and one of the triangles and I sewed around it on my sewing machine and inked the edges. So that's basically where I started. Now you don't have to sew. You can just, if you want to do some faux stitching, you can do that with a pen or just leave it off altogether. So right now I could just leave these and keep them in my stash as bases that I can just grab whenever I want to. But I thought we would just go ahead and make some together first of all. So let's set those aside because I respect your time and I didn't want to spend all my time in yours picking everything out. I've already got what I want to use on this piece right here. So I just thought we could just go ahead and start gluing. And the first thing I want to put on are these pieces of torn lace. And I like to have them kind of, you know, one on each side. Can you guys see? Let me check. Now if you're like me, you like to put all your stuff together and then take a picture. So I've got my tablet right here with some pictures of how I want to arrange these. And that's just going to make it a lot easier for me to remember. And I do that a lot. I'll take a photo and put it all together the way I like it, and then take a photo and then work off of the photo. Do you know who else did that? Well, sort of, anyway. I've talked about the Bob Ross style of crafting, where everything is sort of a happy accident. Well, I just saw a documentary about him. It's an older one. It was on YouTube, or yeah, it was on YouTube. And he always did 3 versions of his paintings. He did one version that he would set aside off camera, and then his second version was what he used, or what he made from the first one. So he took the first one, had it off camera, so he sort of knew what he was going to be doing for the show. And then he always did a third one and then picked the best one to put, I don't know, I can't remember, he called it book or something like that. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do too, just to use up what I have, but also sort of have a plan. So I've got these little tickets. I got a roll of tickets, and my husband spotted these at a thrift store quite a while back now. But he's always looking out for me, which I think is really awesome. He's always finding things. Now these are some of the flowers that I made from the die cuts. And if you haven't seen my first video in this series for Scrap Busting Saturday, I'll go ahead and I'm going to put an end screen with that video at the end of this one. But also, if you wanted to go watch that one first, I'll put a link in the description below so that you can stop this one and go to the first one if you like. So cutting all these things out, I have a cuttle bug that I use. I don't have a Sizzix. The cuttle bug is working fine, but what's nice about it is that it's super portable. So I could just, grab a box full of scraps or whatever, take it out to the coffee table, put on Dateline, which you don't have to actually watch. You can just listen to it. Here's another little flower. This paper was from one of the inks video that I did, where you're just sort of creating bases with different types of inks. Just backgrounds, I guess, is what you would call them. And they're really nice to have on hand because then you've always got something to grab, something to work with. And that's what I like. I like having ingredients. So here's the thing. When I cook, I make everything from scratch. Very seldom do I rely on anything that's pre-done. And the only two real exceptions to that are instant mashed potatoes. And I know they're super easy just to make from scratch, but sometimes that's just what I want in the middle of the afternoon as a snack, and so I'll just, make some instant mashed potatoes. Or instant rice, because we use brown rice and it takes a long time to cook. So if I just want some quick rice, I like that. Oh wait, you're way too far. Come back. Okay, let's reposition this and get to talking and not paying attention. Anyway, so the point of that is that I like to have ingredients on hand to make things from scratch. And it's the same thing with my crafting. So by making these backgrounds and these little die cuts and things like that, then I've got a bunch of ingredients that I can pull from. So this is just a big circle punch that I have, and I'm just going to ink around the edges just to get rid of the white edges. I'm going to put that in the middle. So I call all of these the ingredients to my crafting. And this is, I used a square punch for this, and then I have some of these ripple scissors. And they are kind of like a tearing ruler. And I just kind of cut the edges on them a little bit just to give them a little bit more interest. When my husband and I we went to an estate sale, and there was a box full of, 1920s era ephemera. I mean, real ephemera, like steamboat tickets and luggage claims and a bunch of receipts and stuff like that. So I made a collage. Well, I made a couple, but anyway, this one is from that collage that I did, and I just scanned it in and printed it out. And I think I wanted to put this guy underneath. So this was off of the wildflowers. And you don't have to use die cuts that are just like these. Just use what you have. If you have dies and you have a Sizzix or a Cuttlebug or something like that, or just random punches, don't get hung up on the specific things that I'm using. The point is just to take your scraps and put them to work so that they stop being scraps and start being useful members of society. Tell them, get a job. couple of little butterflies. I love this butterfly stamp. I don't know where I got it. You know, I got all these things before I found out that you're really supposed to tell people where you got stuff. So I don't know where a lot of this stuff came from. It's been really random. Okay, so this is almost done, and look how cute that is. You know, just a nice little belly band, or it could be used as a side tuck or whatever. But I want to put some finishing touches on it. So what I'm going to do is use some liquid pearls, which I found at Michael's. And this color is what? It doesn't say on the outside of the bottle what the color is, but it's a copper. I think it came in a set of 3. I'm going to have to get it down to the... This is my favorite one of all of them. Okay, let's put a little dab right there. And I like to give the butterflies a little bit of a body, like that. So I'm just going in the center of the flowers. And give this guy a little bit of a body. Just to kind of bring him to life a little bit. Like that. Okay, what do you think? Oops. Look how cute that is. Now I can set this aside with its brothers. And I'll put it... I need to go put it somewhere safe. Just a sec. Okay, I put it over on my sewing machine table because you know what happens when you have liquid pearls and you put it somewhere not safe. You know exactly what happens. Okay, so here's my my little kit for my corner tuck, and I have my picture in front of me, so we'll just put this together. These, by the way, I'm sorry, but we've been doing a lot of takeout during the pandemic, and I save all the trays and their tops. Okay, so I have some lace, some more punched flowers, die-cut flowers, a leaf, and a couple of butterflies to go with this corner tuck that I inked around and sewed around. So the first thing I want to do is put on this lace. And this lace, this is just a lace doily, a paper doily. Again, thrift store stuff. I'm going to put this guy right about there. It's okay if they hang over a little bit from the edge. I kind of like that, actually. And then this is the punch that I have. And I show all these punches in my scrapbooking video. So if you want to see what I'm using, and again, a lot of them came from thrift stores, which is really risky, but if you can try them out. So here's a tip. If you're going to go into a thrift store and you think you might find some punches there, bring along some paper that you can try it out on. It goes for garage sales and stuff like that. So if you just bring some like envelopes or anything that you can try it out on, so that you know that it's going to work, because I have been burned a couple of times by buying punches, not trying them out, and then find out that they're super, super dull. And that is incredibly annoying. And no amount of, trying to punch it through aluminum foil did anything. Okay, so now all I need are to add my little butterflies. And this one will be done. And I love it. Put one there, one here. This paper actually has butterflies on it. So I tried to punch, put the center the punch around the actual body of the butterfly on the paper. It came out pretty good. I'm going to do a little bit of liquid pearls. Give these guys a little bit of a body so that they stand out. done. What do you, oh, I forgot the leaf. Okay, we can still get him in there, don't worry. There. Okay, so we got the leaf in there. Okay, there we go. Little corner tuck. All right, so the next little kit here is this little rectangular card. And I've got a little word and some flowers, some more lace doily, and a little die cut that kind of turned out to be lacy. I got this die at the Dollar Tree, so that was kind of fun. So let me get all these together down here. All my little assemblies pieces. Okay, and the first thing I want to do is put this piece on. Can you guys see? Bring you up a little bit better. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is get this piece on. And I wanted to add a little bit of bling. This bling also came from the dollar store in the florist section. So when you go to the dollar store, don't just hang out in the crafter square. Go to the florist section, because you will find rolls of this bling and other fun ribbons. Okay, that's not sticking. I need my fabric tack for this, I think. Gotta pull out the big guns for some of this stuff. I have some word. Let's see. I think I'll just use my glue stick for this. I use the margins of book page to stamp words into, so that nothing gets wasted. And then the little butterfly. Right here. And again, we want to give the little butterfly a body. Not totally necessary, but I like it. And then a little interest right there. So there we go. Another cute embellishment for a future junk journal. Oh, sorry about that. That's super easy. Just using scraps. I'm going to set it aside. And then we have a pocket here. Little pocket kit that I put together with some die cuts and scraps. I have glue sticking to me. All right, so when I do things that have like rounded corners and stuff like that on it, I typically don't, I mean, I have stitched around it, but I always make a mess of it. So I'm just gonna put some faux stitching on here with a pen. Okay. So again, I have some more lace doily that I'll put down first. Okay, these are going to be challenging. These are just the edges that I cut off of a little square piece. I wanted just it to have more of a ripply edge, but I want to use the leftover pieces. So I'm just going to put some on here. And then this was one of Tim Holt's little wildflowers. And like I said, I don't know if this is still available. If it is, I'll link it in the description. And then I have this little word, Serenity, that I stamped again onto the margin of book page. When I tear off the margins, I usually save them. Put that right there. And again, I'm just going to use glue stick because this paper is pretty fragile. This is a glue stick I think I got at the Dollar Tree. I can't remember where it came from. And a little butterfly. So I think you can start to see how when you have some ingredients like these to work with, then putting together these little embellishments ends up being super fun. I guess we'll just put them right there. And then back to liquid pearls. And a little body. So, there we have it, a pocket. How cute is that? Super easy. Just made with the ingredients that I have set aside. And now we have a couple of other little things that I wanted to show you. So just to give the scrapbook paper that I used a little bit of love, what I did was I distressed it and just kind of collaged on top of it, and I'll show you how I did that. We'll set those over here. So I have this piece here and a file, one of these really coarse files, and I basically just filed it to distress it, kind of take off the color in some places, and you can see it's starting to come off right there. Okay, after that, then I just went and inked it up in the places where you file off the color. But doing this to an entire sheet, that would just take too long, and I just don't have that kind of patience. But whatever you like to do, you do you. Okay. All right, already that looks better. So I'm just going to grab some of this book page that I have and just start tearing. And then I can pull out my little stash of things. All right, so I went ahead and I chose these little pieces to put on here. So the first thing I want to do is ink up this little leaf, just a tiny bit, just to kind of get rid of some of the white edges, and I'm going to put him right there. I didn't want to use any of the, the pre-made stuff, that you buy, because the whole point of this project is using up scraps and using what I have rather than using stuff I needed to go out and buy. And let's see, this word just says always on it. Again, I stamped it onto some book page margin. Back to the liquid pearls. And I think I'll put one down here at the end of the word and kind of smushed over, but that's okay. All right, now I have this little embellishment that I can use as a tag, or put some paper on the back of it for a journal card, or just as to, put some fabric behind it or some cheesecloth or whatever, and put it on a page. So what did we make today? Started off with this belly band, using again scraps that I had laying around. All of this was scraps and scrapbook paper. Just to refresh your memory, this is what the scrapbook paper looks like. I'm never going to use it in a junk journal like that. Have to be careful of the liquid pearls here. And we made this little thing that could be a pocket or an embellishment somewhere in your journal. We did a corner tuck and a pocket, And then also this other little embellishment that can live somewhere in the journal. So I hope you enjoyed this. Now the one thing that I will say is that I have some pieces left. See, I'll show you those. I have these pieces left, and I have a special project planned for Tutorial Tuesday using these pieces. Again, same scrapbook paper, just some book page. I'm just calling these bases that I can grab for another project, but I have one in mind. So come back on Tuesday, Tutorial Tuesday, to see what I'm doing with these. So again, if you haven't watched the video where I took the scraps and the scrapbook paper and the book page and made ingredients with them, go back and watch that one. There's a link to it below, and it'll also be at the end of this video. And then join me for Tutorial Tuesday to see what I do with those others. So thank you for joining me today. If you're a subscriber, I really appreciate your support, and I'm so glad you're here. If you're here for the first time, welcome. I'm really glad you're here too, and I hope you'll consider subscribing and hit the notification bell too, so that you know when I upload new content as well. So give me a thumbs up if you liked it, and I really appreciate it. Again, this is Kathy at Attic Treasures, etc., and I'll see you for Tutorial Tuesday. Bye, everybody.